Can you talk a little bit about the other night we touched on a little bit, like what are you trying to get out of these games, these early games?
Well, with 5 new players, I thought this year we're going to need a few games to get Kane some court time with his teammates. Also, you know, the 4 freshmen, get them minutes, and Justin as well. Because even though Justin's a junior, you know, this is a team where he's playing a significant role. He's a big part of our team. So, you know, although we obviously have the frontline guys back, even though Jaron's in a new role, you know, other than Jacob, Gary, and Kyle, you know, everybody's new or playing much more of a significant role this year. So just trying to get these guys comfortable with each other and get them some game minutes, obviously hoping to win in the meantime. But, you know, with that being said, you know, I think each of these teams that we've played, you know, they're good at different things. And, you know, I don't really look at the outcome in our past 2 games. You know, it's like Coppin State, obviously, we're going to be a heavy favorite. You know, so for me, there's areas where I want to see us improve to get ready for our tournament next week. Offensive efficiency, you know, we turned it over too much in our first game. I mean, there's going to come a time here where we're going to have to execute in a close game in the half court to get a basket. Right now, we're scoring a lot in transition, scoring a lot off second shots. So half court execution and then half court defense. You're not going to be able to steal the ball from everybody, and you're going to have some people are going to take care of it and make you sit down and really guard a team that's well coached and well drilled at running their offense. So we haven't really, I thought we did the best job of that in the second half against Western Carolina. So we didn't really trap them, you know, once the game got up. I wanted to see how our guys, if we would play half-court defense. So there's just a whole list of things I think we got to get ready for. But a lot of that, too, is, you know, getting, like I said at the beginning, getting these guys meaningful minutes together.
You scored 100 points in both games, which hasn't been done very much in the history of this program, regardless of the level of competition. Does that mean anything to you, or how your offense is performing?
Yeah, you know, I was talking to the staff about this. You know, I just think that the game is changing, and if you don't change with the times, you're going to get left behind. You know, I think when we went to the 30-second clock, that your perimeter players all have to be able to score. You know, like the days of a guard that's just a defensive stopper, I think the only room, those are gone. I think the only room for a place like that now is a rim protector, because he can screen and run to the rim and catch dunks and lobs. You know, and I don't see the game going backwards. It's headed in that direction, and I think in the next 10 years it's even going to be more in that direction. So, you know, the more the game's played with speed and pace, the more you better be able to score points to win, because it's going to be harder and harder to hold teams down, in my opinion.
So have you changed the kind of players you recruit?
Oh yeah, when they announced the clock was going to 30, and then again, now for us, you got to remember, I think we get a lot of things said about us that are inaccurate. That and people don't mean it maliciously. You know, it's a compliment when people say you play defense, but we led our league in scoring last year. And, you know, that's what some teams, you know, Houston runs, and SMU had 5 guys could score. We led the league in scoring. So that being said, though, I think that, you know, the recruiting isn't easy. And the more you win, the more you can try to get the kind of guy you want instead of just taking the best guy you can get. So, and then when your program is in a stable place, you can look for a certain type of guy. So since they changed the shot clock, we've tried to make sure that every guard, every perimeter guy that we've signed is an offensive player, and we'll turn him into a defender. You know, we can coach him up on the defensive end. You know, if the kid's a competitor and he's athletic, you can coach him up. What you can't do, you can't coach a guy you can make him a little bit better shooter, depending on his work ethic, but ball skill and feel for making plays, it's a lot different than dribbling around cones, you know. So that stuff's really hard to teach. So we've really tried to work hard at getting offensive weapons on the perimeter.
Did it used to be the other way, where you look for defensive players first and then?
You know, no, I think that's where the fallacy, you know, but it's getting to be a long time ago now. There was a time we were just trying to get whoever we could get and then figure out how to win. You know, I mean, if you and I ever write the book, early in the Big East days, it was you better not get pushed around or you got no chance. You know, it was just such a big, strong, physical league. So it was like we got to get to a point where we can at least get the rebound if we get a stop. And then we built out from there. I just think, you know, the game is, like, obviously that league's gone. But even if, like, so the Big Ten's looked upon in history of, you know, being the big physical basketball conference. You don't really see that anymore, you know. Even, you know, like Michigan State's supposed to be a big physical team, and their first 3 buckets they made last night against Duke are layups on the break. So I just see the game has gone that way. I think you got to, obviously you want to get guys that can do everything, but I think on the perimeter especially, you got to be able to, you can't stretch out a defense if you can't handle, pass, and shoot. You can always, and then big guys, you got to make sure they can run and move. I just see that's the way the game is going.
So having said all that, do you like the way what you've seen from your offense so far? You mentioned offensive execution is one thing you have to.
Yeah, I think if we take care of the basketball and we're able to play it, the trick to playing with pace is to do it and take care of the ball. Because obviously the faster you do something, the harder it is to make the right decision, especially when there's a basketball involved. So that's the key. You know, if we take care of the ball, I think we'll be fine on the scoring part. But like we were talking about, you know, there's going to come a point though in games where you're going to have to execute in the half court. You're not just going to be able to keep the game up and down and keep it at a certain pace when you are forced to execute in the half court. Now, fortunately, we have Gary and Kyle, so it's like security blankets. All you got to do is throw the ball to one of those guys in the post, and they don't get double teamed. Let them score.
But you feel like you still do have the image of a defensive team.
Oh well, I hear the things that people say. You know, once these games start and I turn on the TV, and you know, people say, well, this Cincinnati team can score. Well, we're only allowed to play in one league, and we played in a league last year, and we led that league in scoring. You know, if you go all the way back to when we went to the Sweet 16, we set a 4-guard offense. We were not a great defensive team. We could score. We didn't shoot a tremendously high percentage, but that team never turned it over. But
it sounds like that bothers you.
No. Well, the problem with the connotation is everything in my world, you got to remember, well, I'm in a world of sales. I have separate jobs. So the salesman, part of my job is the recruiter. Well, you know, in the world of recruiting, if a kid visits here, we got one of the best campuses in the country. Now, we're not in a so-called group of 5 or whatever the heck it is league. But we're in a great basketball league. We got a brand new arena. So what are you going to say? Oh well, all they do is play defense. So as long as the so-called experts want to be lazy and make those statements, which are a compliment, I take it, but they're not true. If you have to look. But see, all those guys, they don't really follow us. They only follow us in certain games. But what I would tell you is, I know I got a couple experts here. Our last 2 times we've been knocked out of the NCAA tournament, how many points did we score in those games? Wasn't because offense. Both games we scored over 65, I think 67 and 76. So it wasn't a lack of offense. Both games we got knocked out of the tournament, we couldn't stop St. Joe's, we couldn't stop UCLA. So, you know, it's, you know, I don't get upset about it, but it's a factor in recruiting. So that's the issue with that. And it's false. That's the other factor. And the last part about that is, you know, when you say that, it doesn't help my players with their pro career. You know, if the image is, oh, they're just a bunch of guys that play hard. That's not fair. I mean, Sean Kilpatrick played here. I mean, we're all about off defense, and why did he score over 2,000 points? Oh, go ahead, Drew.
Freshmen played a lot already.
Yeah.
Been a factor. Do you like this class?
Well, I love our class. I love our class because they're all different. and they're all they all bring different things to the table, and I think they all have the right attitude right now, and they have toughness about them. And they're all going to be way better in 2 years than they are right now, which is the key for the way we do things here, kind of way we have to do things. So I think we went 4 for 4 with these guys. I think, you know, when you're building a program the way we do, just the challenge is to not miss. You're not always going to get a home run, but I think recruiting since you're a baseball guy at heart, you know, is to not strike out. You know, sometimes recruiting, you know, there's nothing wrong with a single or a double. You know, it's the strikeouts that hurt you in recruiting. You know, you lose a whole class to academics or transfer, or, you know, or guys that just didn't pan out, and that's where your program gets in trouble. So I think all these guys are going to be a hit for us.
Coach, the way that Justin's playing so far, is that what you envisioned when you first saw him in that state championship game?
Yeah, I think. It's just, you know, like with anything else, you know, some college players, it takes time. You know, it's just, it takes them to their junior year to get where they need to be. And I think that's more the norm, but people don't like to look at it that way. It's just not the way the media looks at it now. Everybody wants to watch a guy play and make a great prediction that he's going to be, and then compare him to somebody that played 20 years ago and think you're going to be dead right at the end of the day. It's just, and that's just, you know, I get it, that's how it is, but the more realistic thing is a guy like Leonard Stokes, who didn't play for 2 years really, and then had 2 great years at Cincinnati, is, you know, is way more realistic, like Justin Jackson's career progression. So I think, you know, but I'm happy for Justin because we need him, and the key for us is guys that stay develop, and we need them to be who we want to be. So, go ahead.
Sorry.
You're right.
Do you look at starting as a privilege or something that's earned, or is it more kind of
Starting, who starts the game?
Yeah, or more like an AU.
Yeah, I think players are I think players and fans are more into the meaning behind that than sometimes the coaches.
How are you looking at it this season? Is it more
well, you know, when these early games, you know, I think Nasir has worked really hard, so I wanted to reward him and see how he handled starting, because someday he's going to be a so-called starter, I hope. Justin definitely, I thought, had earned it with how hard he worked here in the off season. So, and then it's also just, you know, seeing how they handle it, a reward factor, or it could be as we go, it could just be matchups. You know, I think right now, Kane's the better offensive point guard. Justin's probably the better defensive point guard, and that's only because Justin's probably been here longer. You know, Nas is a better defensive guy than Kyle's a better offensive guy. So, you know, it could depend on matchups. It would be a luxury, like if they all were good enough to start regardless of opponent.
Have you seen, it's early, small sample size, but have you seen combos of guys who you really like together out there so far that kind of stick out to you?
Well, I will say I thought it was, what I liked the most is both of our point guards play with pace. So it's not an adjustment when we sub. You know, they're both looking to play. It's right in our wheelhouse to play fast and push the ball. So we don't have to change our tempo. So what we've tried to do is obviously get Gary and Kyle to run more because they're on a team of guys that can really run. But we still got to get them their touches in the low post. So we're a little different with them than we are with the other 4 big guys who are much more floor runners, where Gary and Kyle are really effective in a half-court offense because of their ability to score, but they're not quite as the athletes the other 4 guys are. So, you know, obviously we have different lineups probably that are better pressing lineups, different lineups that are better half-court offense, which is good. I think you got to have all that if you're going to make a run, unless you just got 7 NBA players and 2 lottery picks, which, you know, I hope we end up having that for my players' sake, but I don't know if that's the case.